Carl Sagan is by far one of the most famous scientists of all times. When he was alive, he famously stated,
extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
"Every single Sunday, I go to a space that is known as Bible Hard Talks. One of the topics that we talked about during the recent weeks was something related to demons. During an entry, one of the participants stated that hailstorms was actually proof of demons.
So they hold a ceremony when the boys come back from the mountain in a tent. But then what they will do is they will hire a witch doctor. And this is to clear the way for the boys or the men who are now men. And so I'm riding a bike. So we're going to this ceremony and I'm on a mountain bike. And then behind me, I start hearing noises like horses are running. And so I stop the bike, right? And so I look behind me, I see people running. So I didn't see what they were running away from. It's a clear blue sky, sunny day. So, a black person, you don't have to investigate like, hey, what is, you see people running, you start running as well. So I take off with the bike. But then it got to a point where I realized I need to get off this bike because I'm not moving fast enough. And I kid you not, clear blue sky, the sun is out. Huge ice blocks. I don't know what you call it, like hail or something like that, as big as a tennis ball. And I want to re-emphasize clear blue sky. And it was hailing. I couldn't believe my eyes. So I get off the bike, I take shelter by this other tavern, right? It was the nearest shelter I could get to. And one of these things nearly hit me, massive. So as I'm in there, people are talking like, yo. Yeah, they hired this guy and he's powerful and so on and so forth. So I start snooping around like, what are you guys talking about? So they talk about this witch doctor, which was hired to do something with the weather.
When having conversations like these, it's really important to apply something that is known as scientific skepticism. Scientific skepticism is the idea that one questions the veracity of claims that lack empirical evidence. Now let's see an example of scientific skepticism with the hailstorm example.
So you and I are walking hand in hand. We're saying that it can fall during the day. You experienced it. I am not surprised that you experienced it. So far we're on the same path. Where we split, where the fork comes in, is when you say it was planned and orchestrated by a specific individual. Then it implies that you heard that it was planned. If you heard that it was planned, feel free to point me in the direction of that person who seems to have the power to make hail fall out of the sky, and I'll leave you alone. You carry on being a Christian, I'll then follow that one individual who claims to have those powers.
In conclusion, the guy who made the claim that hailstorms are caused by demons is using something that we know as pattern seeking. That is to say, that he attributes the whole entire hailstorm largely because his brain saw a pattern with the witch doctor, and that's how he concluded that it's actually caused by the witch doctor for the hailstorm. There has been studies that actually demonstrated that when it comes down to eyewitnesses, they're not the most reliable in terms of information. A person, for example, cannot remember the exact details of something and can get the details exaggerated. Sometimes they forget ideas or concepts. Sometimes they have confirmation bias.
One of the things we know from research in psychology, as well as just practical matters in the conducting of scientific experiments, is that one of the lowest forms of evidence you could possibly invoke is eyewitness testimony, which is odd because it's one of the highest forms of evidence in the court of law, which disturbs me greatly. So if you come from a lab to a science conference and say, this is true, we say, how do you know this? Because I saw it. That's really the end of your talk. And you just leave. And then we say, come back when you have a chart recorder, or you have, just give me something that does not have to flow through your senses.
So when people make such claims that witch doctors can cause hailstorms, the onus is on the person to demonstrate that it's actually caused by the witch doctor.